Hello everyone, and welcome to watching creepy internet videos, which is something I did a long time ago on the channel, back before my bread and butter was gaming. Because I sort of used to consider this channel to be a horror variety show, where anything even remotely related was fair game. And while that's still technically the case, I've had to kind of stray my focus a bit, and I think it would be a good idea to come back to this because for years, you guys have wanted me to do it, I've wanted to do it, and it's just kind of my own trepidation that's kept me away. Stuff like this tends to be fraught with copyright issues, even the old ones gave me problems a couple of times. I've also been unsure about how to do reaction videos because I've always been uncomfortable with just showing other people's short films and analog horror and stuff like that, and then just kind of giving my thoughts at the end, but I think videos like this are more fair game in that category. We have a number of weird old commercials that you guys have sent me, as well as just random clips that I found around YouTube and elsewhere. And to me, when I was a kid, this is what the internet was. It was just finding these low-quality videos on random sites, nothing even so central as YouTube, and being absolutely horrified that things like this exist out there. Of course, back then I didn't have anywhere near the level of critical thinking or suspension of disbelief. That's why a majority of these videos here are over 10 years old, some of them close to 20 years old, and just kind of ripped from random small channels, not a whole ton of views, because that to me is the essence of the old internet. But let's start pretty much at random. I'm just going to go through these in no particular order. Let's go with the Quiznos ads, because I am quite nostalgic for these, and they're from around the time I would have gotten onto the internet.
We love these songs! 'Cause they are good to us! The Quiznos subs! They are tasty, they are crunchy, they are warm because they toast them! They got a pepper bar!
Quiznos new Santa Fe Trio subs.
These mutant hamster things with human faces haphazardly pasted all over them like some kind of scrapbook, high-pitched voices, and so scratchy like they were barely choking out their lines. The song wasn't catchy, although I suppose it ended up being in a certain way. It was just belting out things about Quiznos. It felt like it was something I wasn't supposed to be seeing at 3 in the morning, like a punishment for trying to sneak up late and watch Adult Swim. I think it caught a lot of kids off guard, and that's why these things are seeing like a resurgence now in popularity, because it's just one of those 3 a.m. jump scares. And the fact that it's representing like such a known brand, like Adult Swim would pull weird stuff like this all the time, but the fact that it was a real commercial for a real product, I guess that's the idea, is that we're still talking about it. It's supposed to stick in your mind. It's supposed to make you turn your head and go, what is that? And they succeeded. They really, really did. But how do you even come up with this? Like, it literally looks like... Well, actually, now that I think about it, it's sort of like those janky Flash animations in the early 2000s, right? Maybe that's what it was trying to be evocative of. Alright, well, moving on from that. This one I think I might have done in the earlier videos, but it was years ago, so who cares?
No manches, mira.
I love this video, mainly because it's only 7 or 8 seconds long, but a lot happens in that 7 or 8 seconds. It's a roller coaster. So here, we already see the framing. It avoids the problem of why were they even filming this, because clearly she's like showing off the doll or doing a bit or something. I think it helps in my case because I don't understand the language they're speaking. But she looks at the doll and then looks back towards the camera operator, and in that time, the doll turns its head, its arms a little bit as well, to look at her. And at first, for a good few seconds, she doesn't notice.
No manches, mira.
And that right there, that sudden change to absolute terror. It sounds like maybe the camera operator says something to her, which is what gets her to look. And it's just the instant reaction. It's like a visceral thing that happens even before she's even fully registered what she's looking at. Unfortunately, VLC is being a little uncooperative here with the read, so it's not playing right. Let's do that again.
No manches, mira.
Like, it just feels so real, how she, like, reflexively pushes her arms forward and tosses the thing to the ground, the look on her face. And the fact that it all happens, like, so quickly. I mean, it's like I can almost feel the tears coming to her eyes. Next, I want to show you one that has been going around for a couple of years, and the first time I saw it, it made me so uncomfortable. I had the jitters for like an hour afterwards. I had to turn on the lights in the middle of the day. I could not stop looking behind me. But I find it absolutely fascinating to try and break it down and understand why. Even now it's making me pretty uncomfortable because look at this. I think the first big thing this clip has going for it is that there's no build-up whatsoever. As soon as it starts, as soon as you click on it and maximize it, you are face to face with whatever this is. And so it's like running into a brick wall. You're just gobsmacked and you need context. You need to figure out what this is. Every time I've seen this clip posted, it's had a different backstory behind it. In that way, it almost reminds me of when the Jeff the Killer image was coming around in like 2009 or 10. Every time I saw it, there was some different reason. I saw stories that said, like, it was some Russian serial killer who had his face burned in acid, and all kinds of things like that, and the fact that it was different every time meant that my head was spinning with all these different ideas and associations, but I never knew why it existed. It just did. And the worst part of this is that it doesn't do anything. It doesn't look messed up. It's just a person. It's just a person smiling. Look at that. They start off like with their eyes looking down and to the left, like at nothing, with that big grin on their face, mouth full of teeth. And then they immediately flick and lock eyes with the camera operator. And that's the thing, they do blink, they move their mouth a bit, but it almost seems random, like they're just opening and closing. And I think the worst part is when you think about the camera person in this situation, because you feel like they must be freaked out by the whole thing, they must have a horrified expression on their face, and yet this one remains like inviting and friendly, and therefore completely inappropriate. Like, you get the impression they were just sitting there at their desk, heard the door pop open, and then looked up and saw this. And, like, with shaking hands, they just reached down for their phone and slowly lifted it up. Actually, you know what? I have another clip in here of just a weirdo. Let's have a look at this. The music definitely helps, but look at this. We can see the glow from the streetlights on the ground stretching off into the distance. We see her wearing a jacket, the Christmas lights, the dead trees, and we kind of get the impression subconsciously, even in the first second, that it's chilly out. We can feel that chill. And from the beginning, she looks fairly normal, like she's just somebody there curious and bemused, like, why are you recording? And then just as they pass, it's weird, the grin is maintained, but we almost feel at this point like it's not really a grin. You almost get the impression that she frowns a little bit as they pass. It may even just be the shadow because she holds the expression, and as you're trying to dissect that, you realize that grin is just a little too wide, like the corners of her mouth go farther than they should, and it's only then that you notice her eyes. I don't even know what to say about that. There's something off about them, like they're too... It's like her eyes are too far back from her eyelids or something. And like the longer you stare, the more the angle changes, the more the lighting changes, the less and less this looks like a person. And it's weird because she hasn't changed. She hasn't changed from like a second ago. That's not a person. Like, and she just locks eye contact, no longer even seems to be smiling. And it's only right at the tail end there that you see the camera operator stops walking. And at that point, I feel like there's a fight or flight response. Like they're contemplating, like they're looking at each other and each one knows that the other knows. And this guy is trying to decide whether he should maintain the staring contest or just bolt. And what's even worse is when we see them coming up the street, it seems to stretch a long way into the distance, and when they turn around, it's like it stretches even further, almost impossibly far, to city lights. It gives the impression that this is all just one narrow track, that there's nowhere to turn or hide, you only have that stretch of distance. It's fascinating because it's a short, simple clip, but there's a lot going on here that you might not even consciously register the first time around. Even I was surprised at how much I ended up having to say about that one. Alright, what do you say we unwind with a couple more commercials? Here we go, Mr. Potato Head from the 70s.
Hey, Mr. Potato Head! What do you got for us?
2 new Mr. Potato Head toys,
Donald, stop! Those are the clowns!
each with Mr. Potato Head. Take all the parts and put them together.
Where do the noses go?
Where noses belong.
Forget Bozo. Donald's almost Donald. Trade your mouth. Mr. Potato Head, where's your other ear?
It's over here. Mr. Potato Head toys from Hasbro.
Now, Mr. Potato Head has always been kind of a weird toy to me in general, but I want to know, and this is what I want to know with all these old ads. Were kids always terrified of a sight like this? Like, have sensibilities just changed over time? Because I would have run screaming if I had seen this at an age where I would be playing with Mr. Potato Head. Actually, I did have one, but it was one of like the 90s ones that looks more normal. But maybe that's just an example of sensibilities changing. Like, look at that thing, the bulging eyes looking out in different directions, the really thick eyeliner, and the fact that it has a straight-up villain mustache. It appears to be missing one of the ears.
What do you got for us?
I don't know, there's something about, like, the old distorted quality, the colors all washed out,
Each with Mr. Potato Head.
and the
Take all
audio.
parts and
It
put 'em
just...
together.
It feels like you're looking into a different world. I can't imagine this having happened in my own reality. I don't really have too much to say about it, though. Which is why we can look at a couple more. 1950s, let's go back even further.
Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid.
A 5-cent package makes 2 quarts of
Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid.
9 great flavors.
The drink you love. Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid.
For the very best drink you ever made.
Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid.
Be sure that the envelope says Kool-Aid.
You can give your youngsters a lot of pleasure with Kool-Aid. You know it's pure and good. It has the Parents Magazine seal. And it's so thrifty. A 5-cent package makes 2 full quarts. Just add Kool-Aid to water with ice. Add some sugar and stir.
For the very best drink you ever made.
Be sure that the envelope says
Kool-Aid.
I don't really find this one to be all that creepy, except for the beginning. Just wandering the neighborhood, everyone whistling,
Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid.
and then the abrupt transition into
Five-cent
singing. Like, it's
package
silent
makes-
for way too long. If anything, this is just interesting to me due to, like, the different way the advertising is done, where, like, in modern things, they would probably just focus on, like, a catchy jingle. This is, like, how long is that? That's a minute long precisely. And they do just sort of, like, talk about
5-cent
the benefits of it for a while. Like, I think if anything, what's creepy about these old ads is just the feeling that you're peering into a different world. Like, you can't imagine that this is what it was like not so long ago. And I understand that this is advertising and not a documentary on life in the 1950s, but still, it's just the way it chooses to go about things indicates a completely different mindset that it's kind of hard for me to understand. Let's contrast that with the mindset of, like, the 80s or 90s, shall we?
What's scary? Bounces has a face only a mother can know. You can get one free from Bunker's Chewy Candy by sending 10 outside wrappers to Bunker's Ugly Bowl, Box 1197, Grand Rapids, Minnesota.
Ugly balls from Bunkers.
I don't know what it was about 80s and 90s advertising where they were just trying to be as gross and disturbing and just weird as possible, but I guess it caught kids' attention. I mean, granted, this isn't exactly something that I've heard of, so maybe this one didn't catch on quite as much, but I don't know, maybe it was like some kind of defiance culture where you were trying to market to kids all the things their parents absolutely wouldn't like. I mean, this may just be one commercial, but I'm telling you, 80s and 90s children's toy commercials are basically interdimensional cable. They were unhinged. I don't even think this is really a toy ad. It seems to me like this is something that would come with like a candy bar. God, that's something you'd never see now either. Let's move up to the 2000s then. Or at least, I'm pretty sure this is a 2000s commercial for a vintage toy, but still, the way they choose to present this is something.
The world's most famous toy is back. Charley the Chimp. Bop Charley on the head and hear him screech and watch his eyes pop out. Now you can own this legendary toy for just $29.95 plus shipping and handling. Charley Chimp, the classic symbol monkey, with his white dress shirt, shimmering detailed vest, and shiny real metal symbols. But that's not all. Order Charley Chimp today and receive free shipping and free batteries. That's right, Charley Chimp. Free shipping and free batteries. A $50 value, all for just $29.95. To take advantage of this limited time, free shipping offer, visit charleychimp.com or call toll-free 888-447-8833. That's 888-447-8833.
I'll be honest, I've watched this a couple of times now, and I have no idea still if this is satire. It definitely feels like it because there's so many baffling choices in this ad.
World's most famous toy is back.
World's most famous toy. I have never heard of this thing in my entire life. Unless you're just like talking about the general concept of a cymbal banging monkey. Maybe this was the original. But what really gets me about this ad, it's not the fact that it bares its teeth. It's not the fact that its eyes bulge out of its head like that, which, why? It's the fact that the screeching just overpowers everything else in this whole thing.
Legendary toy for just £1. Now you can own this legendary toy
This
for just
whole commercial
$49.95
is just a
shipping and handling.
constant cacophony, an assault on the
Charley
senses,
Chimp,
the
the
screeching,
classic
the
symbol
banging,
monkey,
the audience
with white
cheering in the
dress shirt,
background as if the noise wasn't
shimmering
enough.
detailed vest, and shiny real metal
And then it
symbols.
just like fades to almost nothing
But that's
over these
not
slow
all.
shots and back to
Order
this.
Charley
Like
Chimp today
it seems deliberately
receive
paced to
free
be
shipping
as
and free
disturbing
batteries.
as possible. Like who would want
That's
this?
right, Charley Chimp. Free shipping.
No, it seems to be real. I think it is real. It's going for an absurd amount on eBay. There's some going for, I guess, slightly more reasonable prices, but what would you call a reasonable price on something like this? I guess it's a classic toy, but... Actually, wait. This says Charley Chimp. These say Giggling Gorilla, but they're the exact same product. They wear the same shirt and everything. Hang on. Yeah, you can see on the box the eyes bulging out. What? Is there a whole rabbit hole of these things? When it's Giggling Gorilla, it's only $50. This one's $125. Vintage 1993. Okay, I feel like this is a whole deep thing that's going to get me killed by the end of this video. I gotta finish this thing first. Here's one kind of different from the others. Minecraft MD3 test. And I'm pretty sure the context of this is that it was uploaded by Notch in about 2009 as a test of in-game models for NPCs. Now, this one is kind of interesting to me because, first of all, it is completely silent, which makes it a little uncomfortable. And it's obviously like a very, very early build of Minecraft. I think this was even before it was publicly available at all. And it's weird that because it's so old, it has models that seem like way higher fidelity than anything that is even currently in the game. Like, they almost look like something out of like old Doom or Quake or something. It's so weird because the world is so clearly that of the Minecraft that we know and still know, but we already have that sort of creeped out feeling with regards, especially to the older versions, because of those simplistic graphics and the fog that falls over it and how empty it feels. Meanwhile, you're almost corrupting the memory of those days by having something that we know wasn't there before. And yet it's even older than any of our memories. It's like a piece of our childhood that we never experienced. I mean, I'm a little older than that, but you get the idea. Like, it just looks wrong. You know, as a kid, when you would have a dream about there being more content in a game that you really like? It feels like seeing that brought to screen. And the fact that this is real and official, it feels like it's something that you missed, I guess. Like, it's hard to look back at this and think, when we were making those memories, this video was already out there. Here's one I haven't seen yet. Weird, creepy noises coming from manhole drain cover. Now that's pretty creepy. I like how the cameraman establishes the mood early on. Not alone, you're in a city, there's traffic passing by, but it's on a still, snowy night, where the sound is kind of dampened. And so, even though the camera isn't really picking it up, you're getting a sense of where they're at. Like, you get the impression they were walking down the street, maybe that's their house right there, and they just heard this sound, and they were walking around trying to figure out where it was coming from. Imagine what it feels like when you realize it's coming from a manhole. And the sound itself is almost like music coming from down there. I think different people will come to different conclusions, or rather, first impressions of where their mind goes in trying to figure out what's down there. I mean, from a certain perspective, you could say, well, it is snowy, it's probably full of water. Maybe it's water rushing through some system or cold air that's making that sound, causing it to echo in the caverns. Or maybe some will think some kind of creature calling out from within. It is rhythmic, it is almost the same each time, which leads me to believe mechanical. But honestly, we're just not gonna get any answers. You wanna climb down there? It's too freaking cold. The important thing is that so much of this is left up to your imagination, and what you picture in your head is going to be so much worse than anything that could come popping up through those grates. Still, we gotta get visual at some point, and probably my favorite type of these, and it's certainly influenced the selection in a biased way, is just that grainy footage of what may or may not be something in the distance. A lot of these are gonna follow that sort of formula. So let's randomly check one. You.
Yeah, it's for Stan.
I won't break them.
Michelle's getting like really good at the drums. So you might have some competition when you get back. We love you. We'll see you soon.
I love clips like this. I don't care how easy it is to fake these things. I don't care how unbelievable they are. I mean, look, my rational adult brain picks this apart like crazy. Like, okay, you're filming her playing Rock Band or whatever this is. I think it was Rock Band that had the drums.
Michelle,
you come over here,
like really good at the drums.
And it's like, okay, you're trying to show her doing that, and yet you're making sure that you get that door fully in frame. It's all very suspicious, but young me would have been terrified of this. And the best part is, it doesn't really look like anything at first. It's really more in what isn't there when the camera turns back. And then when you freeze frame it like this, I will never not be creeped out by the edits where you just zoom in on that mess of pixels and compression.
Yeah.
I also feel like with hoax videos that are a decade or more old, there's just a different, more honest feeling with them. And I know that seems like an oxymoron, an honest hoax, but I feel like a big part of it is, of course, the video quality. Obviously, this is from a day when cell phones were synonymous with terrible quality, rather than being like miniature film cameras.
Competition when you get back.
There was less of an abundance of them, which meant there was more willing suspension of disbelief. Part of it is just the mindset of the viewer at the time as well. But also, it was done more for the fun of seeing if you could, rather than something where it may look technically better, it may be made to drive clicks, but you don't really care how much you sell the hoax. Like, I feel like modern videos are so produced that you almost can't suspend disbelief, especially since they tend to be uploaded to, like, well-known channels that just keep pumping these things out, rather than these just being, like, random finds with, like, 50 views. I think the framing of how you discover these videos is a big part of how you experience them. Let's look at another. That gave me a little jolt. Easy to fake? Absolutely irrelevant. This one gives itself some time to build up. We see the person walking down the corridors of a hospital, and it's just weirdly empty. And it starts off almost uncomfortable in that liminal way. But the great thing about this is we turn the corner, we can see that shape is there right away. Your eye might be drawn to it as it juts out, or it might not be. It doesn't really matter at this stage. At this point, we're peering into the dark, and this person is looking into the dark, and we kind of wonder why they're filming. Like, did they see something over there? We're probably leaning in real close to our screen. And I think over time, more and more viewers will start to see their eyes gravitate to the little aberration in the straight line over here. But right now, it doesn't even really look like anything. And the person isn't really overly focusing on it, which, you know, that has good hoax points right there. It's important to not look like you're focusing on the thing the cameraman isn't supposed to notice yet. But then right in the end, the camera pans over just slightly. You will probably notice it because it's more jutting out than ever, and so it's kind of like the elephant in the room. and right as you notice it, the video ends, and I think that's where the heart stopper is. As soon as you're able to register it as a face peering around a corner, it's over. The thing about these videos is that almost always the title will clue you in that there's something specific you're supposed to be looking for, whether it's a ghost or a cryptid or an alien. And you know that it's probably going to be difficult to spot, that it'll be in amongst the clutter or in a dark area. And so the longer it goes on, the harder you're looking, the more you're squinting into the darkness, leaning closer to your screen, trying to figure out what's there. But there's also an awareness that the longer you spend doing that, the more primed you are for something to catch you off guard and send you flying out of your seat. You start to worry, oh god, have I clicked on a screamer and it's about to get me? Is there actually going to be something there? And you just know that you're setting yourself up for a jack-in-the-box no matter what kind of video it is. This one is sort of similar in that way, titled Ghost in an Abandoned House.
So, let's go in the house and go. Do we go in the warehouse or the...
Let's go in the regular house.
Alright.
What the hell? Dude, seriously. Whatever happened to this fucking house?
I don't know.
Look at your stairway. What is that?
I think it used to be a garage or something.
No, because the garage was that. It had to be.
Yeah, that's like a warehouse, yeah.
Look at the roof, it's all fucked up.
Where?
In there, shit, look.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. What the fuck? Look at that shit.
Huh?
There's glass. There's an oven. There's an oven door.
Where?
In the middle of the living room.
The roof is all fucked up and holy shit! Dude! Oh my go! Go! I could've sworn I saw a person! Dude, there's a person! Holy shit! Yeah, there is! Nick! I'm not... Fuck.
I love this video because of how genuine it feels.
So,
because this is an example where we know to expect something because of the title, but they don't, and they really feel like they don't. So many of these will try to sell it as like, oh, we caught this ghost while we were filming like our cousin's birthday party or whatever, and yet the camera will always be conveniently pointing down the hall where it's going to appear. With this, if I were a kid in 2008 when this was posted, exploring an abandoned house, which I basically do have clips like that, this is what it felt like. You've got the banter back and forth, you have them commenting on stuff in the environment, even if the cameraman doesn't focus on it. There's still enough here to keep us on edge. We see them walking through this house under the shade of the trees.
I think it used to be a garage.
And there's all these open windows. At one point they even call attention to the windows, and we see them looking up for a bit. And when we finally see that thing, it doesn't come with any kind of build-up. They don't hear weird noises in the lead-up. They don't, like, find anything suspicious around the house.
The roof is all fucked up. Holy shit! Dude! Oh my... Go! Go!
He's just walking around, happens to glance up, is in mid-sentence when that occurs, and he just bolts. And the cool thing is, they don't both start screaming simultaneously. He screams and runs out. He's like cleared the edge of the property in like a few seconds, which is the most real reaction I've seen in one of these.
Yeah, there is.
And you can hear the other guy calling from behind him, still not knowing why he did this. Like, he yelled out what happened as he left. That doesn't mean anything to the other guy. I have no idea whether this was them being set up or whether the video itself is a hoax, but if it is a hoax, it's a good one, and I really can't fault it for that. What I think makes one of these the most, though, is the pacing. And here, we had a solid minute of them walking up to the house, establishing where they are and what they're doing. And then that, a bowed head of a dark figure moving past, but it's only on screen for like 1 second, if that. and then it's chaos and running. And I always like it when these follow the sort of pacing of that one news scene from Signs, and you know the one I'm talking about. I think if a video can sort of match that attitude, it's doing something very, very right. But let's have a look at this one.
Are you sure? I don't think so. What's that? Up there! I told you! What's it on? I told you I seen something! Quickly! No! I bet I'm telling you now. Up there! See? What'd I say? Oh my god. What'd I say? It's gone! No, shush. No. No! No!
Now, this one obviously not super convincing right on its face, and honestly I think this would have been better off if they had just left it at the first few seconds, but still really creepy, and I like how they quickly just get out of there, which is something that's missing from so many of these. But obviously we have this framed up so it's like the door is clearly the main focus and not the apparent subject of the video. And you know what? It doesn't matter one bit, because the movement here gets such a visceral reaction out of me that it's still spine-tingling.
Are you sure? I don't think so.
Look at that tall figure that just so quickly leans in from the side, and actually lingers there a bit as she rushes towards the door. I think maybe, like, there's probably a cut hidden right in there.
I don't think so. What's that?
God, that reminds me of It Follows. And the worst part is, like, we can clearly see that, like, the full face is in the doorway here. She can see everything, but because of the graininess and compression, we aren't privy to any of that. And we kind of have to use our imagination a little bit. The standing at the top of the stairs, I think that may be showing a little much. I think I could have done without that, but the fact that they can, like, just see a shape moving around in the windows, how it so quickly ends up downstairs after disappearing from the side, like, that's kind of cool. Moving on, creepy figure in Tennessee woods.
See that thing right there? It's creeping me out. I lived here for going on 7 years.
Hang on, I'm gonna have to turn up my volume to hear this guy.
See that thing right there? It's creeping me out. I lived here for going on 7 years. And walked 100 miles through these woods. Never seen that shape before right there. See? It's got a funny head shape. It wasn't here earlier. Yeah, no, it's not a stump. It's not a broken tree or whatever. I don't know. It looks like it's connected right there, but it's not. I've been over there 1,000 times. It's weird. See, I look some way. If I moved, it moved.
This one doesn't really have a conclusion, and honestly half of all people are going to look at this and be like, dude, it's just a tree, or it's coming off of that log that's fallen over. But this one's really intriguing to me because, like before, we're kind of having to use our imagination to fill in, like, what this guy sees. Oddly enough, the fact that it's, like, a middle-aged man presumably narrating makes it feel more authentic, especially from, like, years ago when this would be from. Just because, like, this isn't the demographic typically making hoax videos on the internet, but, I mean, maybe it was at one time. The reason I'm so interested in this one is because it feels a lot more like the kind of clips you would see on the internet, like in the early 2000s, grainy zoomed-in footage of something that really is only anything if you go in primed thinking that it's something. And to even believe it's something, you have to take his word for it, but if you can put yourself in that mindset, Like, this is the kind of thing that's just fun to me. Ooh, how about, what is this? Have I seen this yet? That was pretty cool. That one is just like drenched in an uncomfortable atmosphere. This is the kind of thing where the context is everything, and more importantly, the fact that we don't have it, but there's certain things we can infer from what little we have. Like how there's an unnatural amount of wind in what looks to be like an office building. And the whole thing kind of makes us wonder about the state of mind of the cameraman. You get the impression that like something was happening before to make them start filming. Like they view this as proof of something, even though it doesn't mean much of anything to us. At one point we see the door at the end of the hall to the exterior sort of pops open a bit. He comes over, closes, locks, latches it. But a lot of the time, it almost seems like he's averting his eyes from the door, like it starts to open there, and he immediately goes, like, camera first. Well, he's looking through the peephole there, clearly. But wouldn't the peephole be looking out into the hall? Other times, he'll just kind of, like, go face against a door for seemingly no reason. Every time it starts to open, it gives the impression that he doesn't want to look at it. Of course, there's the weirdness that he's like all alone in this hallway, that there's seemingly nobody else here despite it being like a commercial property. This is making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, and I couldn't even fully explain why. I guess the wind and the setting just kind of makes it like immersive in that way. We can sort of see like the panic in the constant like doubling back and whipping the camera around. Like, while you were walking down the hall, what made you change your mind and go back and do something with this door? There's so much that we don't see that we get the impression that like they think they're showing. Only 2 of these remaining now, and I really want to save this one for last because I have a bit of a story to go with it. So let's watch Ghost Girl in Myrtle Beach.
Beautiful Myrtle Beach.
God, that was freaky. But almost as weird is what's going on with Camera Girl, because it starts out as a normal enough vacation video. Beautiful Myrtle Beach, whatever. And then it's like she starts turning around and decides to show the room. And then just goes back and shows more beach, and then looks around. And then that. And it's really weird that through all of that, she doesn't even seem to focus on it. Like, it would be one thing. At first, I thought she stopped and was looking at that, like she saw it in her peripheral vision and then turned the camera to look at it. But she doesn't. She just sort of... she just kind of starts moving all over. Maybe she was waiting to see if it would come out on the other side of the curtain here. And there's just such like a weirdly smooth movement to it. Like, it almost seems out of place with the frame rate of the video. I don't know. But that's the thing with these videos, is like a big part of what makes them so creepy is how fleeting they are. Now, for this entire video, I have had a strong focus on those random internet finds. The kind of things that tell you, look into the darkness, you won't believe what we caught on tape. And those are fun, those are a lot of fun, but I feel like the most traumatizing way to encounter these is always when you least expect them, when you don't even know you're watching a creepy video. And what better way to do that than just watching a random meme compilation? Because this one came at me very, very abruptly when I was on the couch with my friend Matthew after a movie night. A lot of the time after we watch a movie, we'll wind down by just like watching random YouTube videos, and we came up with this one, Cats That Threaten Human Existence, a 17-minute compilation of just cat videos. Okay, it's taken me a while to even find it. That's how embedded in this it is. But it is only about 4 minutes in, which is about an eternity in cat video years. What was that? This made us, like, we literally both jumped and shot up on the couch. We were both, like, falling asleep or something, and we were, like, scrambling to rewind and pause. And that's just in there. And, like, I gotta wonder if whoever put together this compilation even knew it was there, because it draws no attention to it. It's not there before, and the worst part is, it's not even like those old videos because this is perfect quality. You can see crystal clear what is going on back there, and it is terrifying. I'm gonna give my hoax praise again. Look, this is certainly like something that they did or an edit that was made later, but the fact that it was snuck into a meme compilation about cats like this is, I think, the ultimate home run for a video like this. Like, if you were tired of stepping on the landmines of creepy videos and screamers on YouTube, and you decided that this meme compilation was to be your panic room, this is essentially the creator delivering a hand grenade straight down the vent. That was a very... Do you guys see that data mosh? I really hope it recorded that because that was something special. But anyway, that has been a revisitation of creepy videos. And this was a lot of fun. I actually ended up having a lot more to say about these than I thought I would. And I guess in a way it's put me back into that early 2000s child mindset where just about anything could be out there. A lot of these videos would have absolutely broken me for weeks as a kid, especially that one because it practically broke me now. And I'm just happy to see that I can still get that reaction out of things. I'm happy to see that even with a much more critical mind, some things just get an instinctive nope reaction out of you. And if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one.